TvGrace presents 2023 Conference Summarize. The ineffable words of God that is teaching us, building us, leading us towards the great transformation.
It says, for our citizenship is where? In heaven. We are what? Citizens from where? If I say that I am a citizen from Puerto Rico, why? But for I to say that I am a Puerto Rican citizen, I must have been there and have been born there. Because if I say that I am a Puerto Rican citizen and I've never been there, well, then I am lying, right? So then when Paul says that our citizenship is in heaven, why? Because what? Because we were born where? Do you know people don't know this? You know that people think that they are a body that possess a soul. But you have to fix your mind. Say, I fix my mind. I am primarily a spirit who had citizenship in heaven when God created all spirits. Learn, please. I receive that you learn. And if you know it, that it becomes clearer. You have to understand that you were formed by God before the foundation of the world. If you don't understand that, you don't have life, you don't have authority. You're going to be a piece of flesh in the shore, as many pieces of flesh out there, many that are laying around everywhere, of all types. People that come here, live 70, 80 years, they die, and you can't say nothing about them. A piece of flesh. They live to eat, to dress, and possess a family, enjoy it, perhaps. That's not a purpose in this life. That is to waste time. That's what animals do. They come, they have sex, they have little dogs, they die, they kill them. That dog is done away with. But a person that don't know that their citizenship, it's in heaven, they have very little intelligence. Though they go to church and they're converted, they entertain themselves with little prayers. Help me, Lord. Heal me. Heal my son. Heal my daughter. Bless my home. Those are beggars. That's a child that's always begging. But now when you're mature and you understand that your citizenship is in heaven and that you are a very special being, things have not gone better because it doesn't suit God for things to go better. Because for a dog, things shouldn't go better. When you play a role of an animal, well, you should continue to suffer. Well, I have a lot of problems. Well, let him continue to suffer to see if one day he awakens and understands that I created him before the foundation of the world. But now when you know that you are a citizen from heaven, now God says, angels, assist. Intelligence will move God in your favor. That's why I don't worry about hospitals. The doctor can tell me you got a cancer there and you got 30 days. Shut up. Don't you see that knowledge gives authority? Tremendous authority. When you have knowledge, you're knowledgeable. Well, when you're knowledgeable, God has to behave with you based on what you know. Now, if you have no knowledge, God says he's not in covenant. He don't understand anything. Let him suffer. And he will always suffer throughout Suffering for flesh. There are women that suffer for a man, and they kill themselves, they destroy themselves, they go out of their way for a piece of flesh, another piece of flesh. And there are men that also do the same. I don't know. People have no purpose when you live as an animal, but when you know the sovereignty of God and when you know where you've come from and where you're going, then the woman plays a role, the man plays his role, finances play their role, but you are reigning over all those things. If our citizenship it's in heaven, we have to understand that clearly. You know why? Because before there were people here on earth, before there were people here, those people, before they came to earth, there were spirits that were in heaven when God created all of the spirits, the angels. He makes his angels spirits. Well, if you are a spirit, it's because you are an angel, and it's because we were created before the foundation of the world with angelic bodies. There are earthly bodies, there are fish meat, there are different poultry meat, chicken, oxes, cows. There are bodies. There are celestial bodies and terrestrial bodies. So you have to understand that before you had an earthen body, you had a spiritual body. The Bible says it in 1 Corinthians 15. So then it is to say that you were created and taught. Your spirit was created by God before the foundation of the world. God isn't, when a child is born today, he's not creating spirits today because he's not creating anything, because he worked 6 days and rested in the seventh day. So when a child is born, what it's reminding you of that there are still angels placing spirits in the womb of a mother. That's what Isaiah 46:3 says. Those that have been carried by me from the womb, from birth, carried from the womb. And those angels know that you are a very special spirit, that you were taught by God. John 6:45 says, everyone who learned from the Father, when? Before the foundation of the world. He's not teaching now. He taught then, those that were taught by the Father. Now, there is a very important detail here. Those perfect spirits, those holy spirits, when they come to the earthen vessels are different. Sometimes the vessel comes with a bad conduct. For an example, I've had to understand this to understand the body in which I live in. I live in a body that's not to confide in. They gave me a vessel of clay. Naturally, this is all predestined because they sent me to a Puerto Rican body. So I come from a family. They didn't send me to a family where the father was an engineer, very educated. No, my dad was an alcoholic. Therefore, that angel, when he placed me there, it seems like the angel said, this angel, Jose Luis, in spirit, I am not called Jose Luis. In the spirit, I have another name. And I can't say my spiritual name. Because remember that angels have names, right? The angel Gabriel, the angel Michael. Well, I have a name from my citizenship in heaven. You discover that as you become more mature. Now, when the angel, this angel that's within this body, God said it suits this angel to be born in this home. He's going to suffer. He's going to go through a lot of things, but it's necessary on account of the ministry he's going to have here in this earth. On this earth, he's going to go through a lot. Well, when a man stumbles, he will not fall because God assists him, and the steps of the Lord he guides. Pastor, can this be possible? Listen, what I am telling you is programmed to make you happy. If you listen to me carefully and you are docile, I will make you happy Because all of your problems will be answered. Because all of your problems will be answered. Well, I've understood many things that have helped me understand, not only understand myself, but to love myself. If you know everything you've suffered, not understanding this that I'm sharing with you, you know how you despise yourself and the complexes you have and the guilt that you carry upon yourself. Sometimes you get wrath and angry and you feel like destroying your home and divorcing. I'm bored. I feel like shooting myself. I don't care if I go to the pits of hell. Don't speak to me about nothing. I don't want to know about nothing. Go to hell. There are sometimes men or women that act like that, and that's because you don't understand what I am speaking to you, blessed. Wake up if you're falling asleep. I am eager and encouraged for you to know this so you don't continue to stumble around. There are people that are always stumbling to then wake up years later to say, oh, if I would have known, look at everything I've suffered. You are here so you don't suffer anymore, so you can understand many things and your life be straightened. Because your suffering is from not understanding the vessel of clay you were given and not understanding this earthen vessel. And listen to this, that isn't the real you. Listen, when the angel, my spirit, separates from this body, it's then when I am going to truly come to know as I've been known. Because the Bible says that if this tabernacle was to dissolve, we have a new one. Created, built by God, and that one don't bring concupiscence. That is why verse 21 comes after the verse that tells you that you are a citizen from heaven. It tells you then that your suffering is on account of this verse. Who will transform our body of what? Of humiliation, that it may be conformed to his glorious body according to the power that he has, even to subject all things to himself. That's why Paul says, brethren, from now on we cannot know anyone according to the flesh, because the flesh is not. The flesh is a temporary lie, a lie that can last you 70, 80 years, and you cannot continue knowing yourself according to the flesh because you are an excellent spirit. You were formed by God with all his care. In his image, he gave you form. He chose you before the foundation of the world and predestined you for his glory. You are a special being, but I have to take the sword and separate the flesh from the spirit. If I don't separate it, you continue to stumble around. I have to separate it. That's why the word says that the sword is sharper than a two-edged sword that separates the soul from the spirit. If we separate you, we take the angel out and present you perfect in Christ Jesus. Who's going to complain about the body you were given? Well, you continue to complain, the body continues to humiliate you, and you continue to stumble. But when you know the body of flesh, and when God says that you have a body of humiliation, it's because you have a body that humiliates you. If you don't know what I'm sharing with you, but when you know what I am sharing with you, the body of humiliation becomes the workshop of your angel. With reason, there are folks out there, these big heads, trying to say that the flesh was also perfected. If you eat that lie that your flesh was perfected, if you eat that package, you're going to get spiritual diarrhea. You'll get sick. I feel that God is cleansing hearts, sheeps that have been hurt, that are sad and hurt. But if you would hear me with wisdom, if you would incline your ear to what I'm saying and allow to be comforted, and allow the Lord to massage you and tell you, my beloved son, come here. He knows his sheeps, and his sheeps hear his voice. That kingdom, we use the mind of Christ, and there is a form of government. And you know what's the government? You know which is the government? There is a marvelous government. For an example, let's look to Ephesians 4. I, therefore, a prisoner of the Lord, urge you that you walk worthy of the vocation in which you are called. From where? Called from where? They called you over there, not here. With all humility, with all what? Humility. Pastors that are not humble don't support our ministry, because here you must be humble. With all humility and what? Meekness, supporting one another with patience. In what? In what? In love. Now look to verse 3. Make every effort to keep, we are speaking of the government of our citizenship. The form of government we're going to have in this earth, we have to learn it now. We are citizens from heaven, and soon there will be a change worldwide, and God is not going to take care of that at the end of our journey. God is already revealing that form of government that we had before. Now listen, God is not looking for new leaders. Those leaders were chosen beforehand. Do you know that what I do here, I was already chosen for before the foundation? Therefore, that is what we're talking about here. Look at what verse 3 says. Make every effort to keep the unity of what? The Spirit. What is the unity of the Spirit? What is the unity? What is the unity of the Spirit? What sustains the unity of the Spirit? The apostolate. To make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit, which is the apostolate. Because the apostolate is what sustains the doctrinal unity, the unity of thoughts in one accord, it's the same mind and the same spirit. That's what, with the passage of that Paul led, was broken. Everyone independently began to do their own thing. But the idea is, for an example, God spoke with one man in the old covenant, Moses. He would go to the mountain and God would speak to him, and that man would communicate to the other men. And there was unity. They couldn't fulfill the law, but it was the law until this day. They fulfilled the law of whom? Moses. So when the covenant changed, that new Moses is Paul. So then the unity of the Spirit is the apostolate. Because imagine a single apostolate worldwide. Oh, be careful. Don't submit to a man. Submit to the Spirit. It's that God, whom he uses, is a man to teach the unity of the Spirit. No, I am submitted to the Spirit, not a man. So then in that entanglement, there are creatures walking around, one about their way here, one about their way there. They're like muds, but not in the unity of the Spirit, which is the apostolate. So then in the heavens, we had one apostolate in the heavens. In the heavens, we had an apostolate. If we come from there, we had a form of government. The idea is to form Christ in you. To form Christ in you. That your mind thinks as Jesus Christ thinks. This is to say that your mind is identical to the mind of Christ. What would Christ do in this moment? And that takes time. That is a process. Look at what Isaiah 46, verse 3 says. Listen to me, O house of Jacob, and all of the remnant of the house of Israel, which are carried, that's not Cain, by me, whom birthed that one was Adam. And all of the remnant of the house of Israel, which are carried by me from the belly, those that are carried from the womb. That's a process. They bring you and then they follow up with you. You are a spirit that in the womb of your mother, that was placed in your mother's womb. They care for you, the angels, with all of them epidemics and the lack of science. Now, a lot of medicine and science has increased. But before, it used to be a midwife that would cut the umbilical cord with a rusted knife. But if you were brought from the angel into the womb of your mother, they would have to cure any germ that would manifest there. There are some other babies that haven't made and that mothers haven't been able to birth. They've died. But God, it go right back to the presence of God. Those spirits that could not take flesh, we don't know what's the reason for that. But if you are a mom here that you've lost a child, probably as you birthed him, don't get into the why of that. Just turn that over to the Lord's hand. Everything is fine. Those that are carried from the womb, those that are protected, and look at the process, even to your old age and gray hairs, I am he who will sustain you. You are the ones that he guides. You are the ones of that seed that he said, I would put enmity between the two seeds. This one, I have to support them, though to their gray hairs. Doesn't matter. I've allowed for them to come here, so I will sustain them. I will carry you. I will sustain you in the midst of your lies, your theft, and all of your misbehaving. If I brought them here, I have to care for them. I hope he would behave, but if he doesn't, I have to take that upon my account. When Christ is formed in you, you understand that clearly. But when he's not formed in you, you say, oh, that can't be that way. Well, it is that way. God made you, and God is the one that carried you. He supported you. He sustains you because you are bad, man or women. But some have not seen the things you've kept hidden. He's delivered you from many things. You are bad. And let that not be painful. Kill the flesh. The flesh is bad. It profits nothing. That is why it says, for those that love the Lord, all things work out for the good. This is to those that are carried by God. Marvelous things happen, but you have to be humble. Your thoughts in order. Live in God's rest, as the Americans say. Easy does it. Things come out easy. Everyone in this world is in a rush and everyone is in fear. People think they can't be forgiven. They're agitated. But I walk in God's peace. I'm always in calm. Calm down. Don't get agitated. You know what it is to walk in peace? To walk in peace is to use the mind, not the body, because if you use the body a lot, it makes you old. It makes you old. It'll get you sick. But if you work more with your mind and less with your body, the years you will sustain. Behave manfully. Rise that confession. No, because if not, the flesh will eat you out. You'll get up in the morning in a blue day with a dark morning, the rain. In those countries that sometimes the political system is corrupt and people, they lock themselves in 4 walls, and they are led by what is spoken in the news. The youth in the university begin to get into political issues, and they begin to suffer. You get nervous. Calm down. Use the word. Don't conform to this world. Use the mind. In your mind, there are many channels with provision there which are never used. You know, as a refrigerator, when you have all kind of food in that refrigerator, you take a trip for 5 days, and when you come back, things get spoiled. You got to throw them out. And with pain, you have to throw them out. They're spoiled. And I have to just go out and buy them again. If I would have been here, I would have eaten it. But if I'm not, I got to throw it out. So that is the way your mind is. You have your mind with full of provision. But then you go on a trip. But your trips are in guilt. So all of that provision there, it's being rotted. No, you're not using it. God always leads us in triumph. The spirit that dwells in me is a spirit of power and of self-dominion, of love. Don't take a trip. Stay sound, firm. Because there are people that go into these guilt trips and they start tripping, and right away they see everything bad. Oh, things are terrible here. So walk manfully, think right, redeem time well. Don't lose time. Open the refrigerator of your mind and use all of the provision that you have there. Make a good dinner. Learn how to cook well what you have on your mind. Don't go on a trip because the food will spoil. Let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due time we shall reap if we do not faint. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to everyone, and especially to the family of faith. It says there, to the family of faith. It don't say the Lopez family or the Rodriguez family or the Jesus family. It is to say it is not human. The family of faith was created by God. Now there's no flesh. And I didn't say a last name because it is the family of faith. In that family, there is no skin color. There aren't whites, black, Chinese, olive color skin, because it is the family of faith. We're speaking about the spirit that has no color. Well, it says, therefore, we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, that cloud of witnesses where your father, your granddad that have gone on to be with the Lord that died, hello. It calls it the cloud of witness because the family of faith that leaves the body no longer needs faith. So therefore they parted and they are in the cloud of witness. Witnesses means that they are watching the function here on earth of the human race. That is comforting. Having around about us, and it seems like they're not far away. They're not far because that is a spiritual world that on account of the physical body or the physical eyes, which has a loose development, that's where the veils are, and we don't see it. Well, we are seated together with Christ in heavenly places, but it seems like the cloud of witness is close by. It seems like it's not up there, it's beside, around about us. It says, let us set aside every weight and the sin which besets us, and let us run with endurance the race we have before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. One day he's going to consume the faith because it's no longer needed. When this corruptible is dressed of incorruptibility, why would it need faith if faith is? So he is the author of faith, and that's why he calls us the family of faith. Notice it doesn't say the family of the law. because that was flesh only. Here it says the family of faith, because the family of faith is a special people. It is a congregation of thousands of people. Look at what it says right there in chapter 12. It says, look at the amount. Verse 22 of chapter 12. But you have come to Mount Zion, to the city, say city, of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, the heavenly, not the one in Asia, to the countless thousands of angels. There are thousands of angels. That cloud of witness, there are thousands that look to the human behavior. That's why this world has not ended. That's why this world still exists, because the protection they plead in watching how the human race suffers, to the General Assembly of the Church of the Firstborn, which are written in heaven, and to God, the judge of all, the just spirits made perfect, and to Jesus, the mediator of the new covenant, and to the blood of the sprinkling that speaks better than that of Abel. So this is a very special family, the family of faith, and God, it's been the author and the finisher, the one who's created this faith for us to enjoy. Let's look to chapter 4 of Philippians. To the Philippians, let's return a couple of books. In chapter 4, in verse 3, it says, yes, I ask you, my true companion, help these women, since they have contended by my side with the gospel, also with Clement and the rest of the co-workers, whose names are going to be written. No, whose names are in the book of life. So it is to say that this family of faith has a name. The only thing that they gave you a name when you took part in flesh. But those names are inscribed in the book of life. They are inscribed before you were born, because your spirit has a name. If we, the human race, when we have children, we give them a name. You don't leave them like that. And who is that? Oh, his name is No Name. Even calling him No Name, you gave him a name. His name is No Name. So God, everything we do here on earth is like a shadow of that took place in heaven. So God created spirits, and he created them in his image, and he gave them names and inscribed them in the book of life. And thousands and millions of angels he sent here to earth, and he planned. First, he gave them the law for thousands of years, but that didn't create families, because in the law there is no love. In the law is an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. No one could produce a family because it produces wrath. So when Jesus came and created, the creator of faith came, and then he called them the family of faith. So we then discovered that we were angels. I was sharing with a woman when I was on my way back from Costa Rica. I got to the airport early, and I saw a lady that had an angel hanging on her chest. And I says to her, what a beautiful angel you have. And she says, oh, and I have his name. His name is Maciel. Well, I said, that is unknown to me, but my angel is called Gabriel, because I read it in the Word of God. She says, how interesting. You believe in the angels? And I said, woman, that's all I do. I work with angels. And you work with angels? That is your job? And I said, yes, I work with angels. What happens is that they're angels dressed in flesh. Don't you know that you are an angel? What happens is she hasn't gotten to the family of faith. She's in a stage of orphanhood. She's in a state of orphanhood because she lacks knowledge. Our job is to bring them to the congregation of the spirits made perfect so that they can participate in the family of faith. This is the greatest thing there is, the family of faith. And for information, and those that have not yet arrived, they have not yet reconciled, because they have already been forgiven. Even those that have not arrived to the family of faith worldwide to Growing in Grace Ministry, they have a reservation at the table. There's food, there are beds, their fathers are waiting for them. They're my children. They made me the father of that family. The father needed a physical father for that family. Say, the family of faith. One day, Isaiah had to speak like this in verse 3. Listen to me, O house of Jacob, and all the remnant of the house of Israel. Are we all here? Yes. It says, who have been upheld by me from birth. Those that have been upheld from whom? From God. And how does he bring them? Through the womb. I am the problem that puts you in that flesh. That's why he wants to communicate the gospel to us. Don't you see that when you know the gospel? God then says, now I am content because he was the one who put you into this flesh. This is the worst state of creation. Notice that God says that we know no one according to the flesh because that is useless. This is the worst state of creation. That's why we came here to be renewed. But when we reach the fullness of knowledge to his stature, God will have no alternative. He must dress the family of faith. We must be in faith. If you are in the law, don't comb yourself. You're not going. Don't get dressed. You're not going. But God deals with his children. And we've all been partakers of that discipline. God deals with the elderly, those that have black hair, blonde hair, green hair. He deals with his children, but he doesn't abandon them. Everyone brought into the womb, they are never abandoned. God deals with them. How many have felt that God has attended them? Right? I've never felt that God has abandoned me. I've always seen his love. But you have to understand the spirit, and the language of God is written in 14 epistles. If you read the 14 epistles and you record them, you learn them. If you write them down, you learn them. Don't you see when I always quote the scriptures? Look to Philemon, look to Hebrew. I make notes because you begin to exercise the senses, the thoughts, and you form the mind of Christ here. They can take the Bible from you, but you have it recorded here.